Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So New Year's Eve was a very interesting day. One, because I had COVID and I was really sick. But two, some images leaked online with some Goldeneye achievements for the Xbox. That's right, so that led to rumors of, is Goldeneye coming back? Is Goldeneye going to be released for the Xbox? And no, I'm not talking about this atrocity of a remake. I'm just kidding, it actually wasn't that bad. But no, this is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the full Nintendo 64 version of Goldeneye. Because if you remember, Rare had attempted to do a Goldeneye remake, or not remake, an HD remaster for the Xbox 360, but that project got canned because legal issues with Nintendo, MGM, Eon, the fact that it had Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. We had to, get approval to use his features and all that stuff, while Daniel Craig was the current Bond at the time. So, a lot of issues there which led the project to fall through. But, now these images are here online, and not only are there achievements for the Xbox, but there are two people who have essentially made these achievements, which are two Rare employees. So, there's the question. Is Goldeneye finally coming back? And that's the assumption everyone has been making for the past 2 or 3 weeks now. And we still haven't heard an official announcement by anyone yet. So here we are, just waiting. Us Goldeneye fans just sitting here waiting for some kind of announcement. Like, is this real? Is this not real? Like, what's going on? Because if you remember also a year ago, that Xbox 360 HD Remastered got leaked online, and if you have a 360 emulating computer or if you have a hacked Xbox 360, you can play the game. And I've played it and it's great. So is this too much of a coincidence? I don't know, but here we are waiting for Goldeneye. And now there's also the question, if this is a real thing and it's going to come out for the Xbox, is there going to be a Nintendo version as well, since as you know, Goldeneye originally came out for the Nintendo 64. So here we are, it's 2022, and there is a possibility that Goldeneye will be coming back for the Xbox and possibly the Nintendo Switch. Now this will be an amazing thing if Goldeneye indeed is to come out for the Xbox, because that is one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. I got this game back in 1998, and I can't tell you how many hours I've put into this game, and I think I completed it 100% by 2002. So there was definitely a lot of playability here. So now there's also the big question, if this comes out for the Xbox and the Nintendo Switch, which version is it going to be? Is it going to be just the classic Nintendo 64 graphic version of the game? Because if you look at those still images that you see here, they do have still photos of the actual N64 graphics. They're not showing the Xbox 360 remastered version or HD version. So is it possible that they're going to reboot that project where they have the HD graphics, or are they going to just stick with the old Nintendo graphics? Well, I figured in this video, how about we take a look at the HD graphics and kind of compare it to the N64 graphics, and I'll explain why I would prefer the HD version over the N64 graphics. Now obviously, if this game is going to be coming out for the Xbox, well, I guess in this case the Xbox One, but obviously it'll be playable on Xbox Series X and S, I would prefer the HD version that was originally planned for the 360, because those graphics were pretty good. Now, the game that got leaked last year for the Xbox 360 version, it wasn't the complete game. It was about 90% done. So there are some things that are missing in the game, but the first few levels look pretty solid and they look pretty complete. If you look at the dam level right over here, you can see how beautiful the scenery looks. There's like new things that you didn't have before, like trees, snow, the sky looks super clear, all the textures look really clear. The cool thing about this too, like if you want to go back to the N64 graphics, you can by a click of a button, and there you go. And yes, the graphics may not be like top notch, but keep in mind, this was something that they were planning on doing back in like 2008. So it's been a really long time since this was made, but yet it still looks really good compared to the N64 graphics. N64 graphics, let's be real, they did not age very well. So if you're playing it on a regular home console, it kind of looks like crap. play it on emulator, it'll look a little bit better, but on an actual TV with an actual console, it doesn't really look that great. And sure, if they're gonna emulate the game and put it on the Switch, or even just on the Xbox, I'm sure those textures will be upscaled a little bit so it doesn't look as poopy as it does on the N64 console. But as we all know, the N64 online membership and the games they have on there aren't necessarily the best. Legend of Zelda is very glitchy, sometimes the music in Mario Kart cuts out. It's, you know, it's not necessarily the greatest feature for the N64 at the moment for the Switch. So if this game were to come out on the online service, I'd be kind of concerned whether it would be playable or not. Because even on the N64 console, there's still some frame rate issue. Not a lot of issues, but it does happen from time to time. So I can only imagine it will be the same thing for the Switch unless they actually optimize it to be playable on a Switch. But who knows, because right now they're not doing a good job at it. But going into the Xbox version, like I said, the graphics have improved immensely, but it's not complete. So we're going to be looking at some of the things that this game is missing, that they haven't finished, that obviously if this game were to come out, I would like to see improvement on that. However, you can't really mock something that's not fully finished, and something, especially when it was never released to the public. And I think the biggest thing that's missing here, and there's been a lot of TikTok videos on this matter, it's the pause music. The pause music was a very solid track on the N64. You pause the game, it goes into your little watch, and then boom. But unfortunately, when you're playing on the Xbox version, as soon as you hit the pause menu and you go into that watch, the music from the level is still playing. Now, of course, like I said, this is not a complete game, but I don't know if this was their plan to maybe skip the pause music. I hope that's not the case because, as I said, this is a really good track, and it's so good that it's been popping up on TikTok and been on memes quite often recently. So like I said, on the Xbox you can go back between current graphics and old graphics. However, the old graphics still need a little bit of optimizing. If you look at the silo mission, when you go into that little hallway, like that little curbside hallway where there's like a little missile in the center, it's like it cuts out of frame once you're in a certain position. It's like in one position you see it, and in the next position you don't see it. And you would expect that from the HD remaster because, like I said, it's not complete. But when you go back to the old graphics, that glitch is still happening there as well. So there would have to be some kind of optimizing in that area as well. Also, in the old graphics, I noticed that there's some things that are not quite working so well. For example, when you have the cheat DK mode with the big heads, I know we all love that cheat right there. But when you're playing in the Xbox HD graphics, it looks solid, everything works fine. But when you go back to the old graphics, there are some enemies where their whole body and everything is set to be in DK mode, but their heads are very puny. So there's something went wrong there, so that would definitely need some fixing as well. When you go to the boat mission, I forgot what it's called, I'm sorry, I know, I forgot what it's called. But there's no water in the HD graphics version. When you go back to the old graphics, if you're on that little boat from when you start the mission, you'll see the water from like waist up. But if you're looking like waist down, it's like you just see a blue image. Once you get on top of the boat, then you see all the entire water. But it'll probably need a little bit of fixing. It doesn't look that great. Everything else about the level is solid. When it comes to the Xbox graphics, the only thing that was missing there is just the water. Which obviously that's probably just one thing that just didn't get to finish while they were making the game, but everything else in the level looks solid. And so really, I think my biggest complaint about this HD remastered is just really like there are just some things that when you go back to old graphics, there's just a lot of things that I probably wouldn't expect to have seen, like DK mode not working, or even like, for example, the Magnum gun. The Magnum gun looks really off on this version of the game, whereas if you're playing on the actual N64 hardware, the Magnum gun looks fine. And like I said, you can't mock something that's not complete, but obviously if this was the game to be released, I would like to see that they have improved upon those graphics, because for them to say this was 90% complete, there were still a lot of things that they needed to work on. So I'm hoping that they will definitely take the time, especially since it's been many years later, that they could obviously fix those issues. Another thing, once you finish playing a level on the, well actually, in general, when playing the Xbox HD remastered version of the game, when you finish playing a level, the music stops. That main menu music, it stops completely. And it's kind of awkward. I don't like that. I don't know why that happens, but it does. So that's, another thing we gotta fix. So one of the cool things about the Xbox HD remaster version of the game is multiplayer, because they added a few new levels that weren't on the original N64 version. One of them being the dam level. The other one being that boat mission, that boat level again that I can't remember the name. And that other level that I cannot remember the name, but it's the one before the train mission. Those are new multiplayer levels that were not featured on the N64 version, which I thought were really cool. Now, the maps are still pretty much the same. Obviously, they have their HD upgrade. For example, the temple level looks really, really good with these HD graphics. I mean, it's almost kind of mind-blowing how different it looks. Like, everything just looks like, in the N64 version, everything kind of just looks like bricks everywhere. If you look up in the sky, it's just black. But in this HD remaster, it's like you really see details of like ancient whatever. If you look up in the sky, you see like trees popping out. Like, they did a really good job like redesigning these levels. Another classic level for multiplayer was Caves, which it's a really dark level both on the N64 and on the Xbox HD remaster. But it still looks really solid. They definitely improved the graphics by adding, like I said, trees and just little details that just really improve on the level. But still really dark. I would have liked a little bit more light in there. And then of course, if this comes out on Xbox, that should hopefully mean that we'll be able to play online. And if we can play online, oh my god, well, that's awesome. Because the multiplayer was the best part of Goldeneye when you came over to a friend's house and played it. It was just so much fun. And all the frustration because they could see your screen and they knew exactly where you were and you had to get a gun before they could find you and kill them. And it was a lot of fun. Obviously, if there's an online mode, it probably wouldn't be the same experience that we had back then, but this is the new way of playing games, and I think it would still be fun playing online with a bunch of people. Imagine playing with like 16 people instead of, back in the day when it was just 4 people was the max. So this could really be a fun new way of experiencing GoldenEye in multiplayer. The maps are not very big. It would probably have to be like an 8 versus 8 kind of thing, or maybe like a free-for-all of 10 people. But even picturing 10 people on a multiplayer level, it might still be a lot, but I think it's doable. I really love the intro to this new Xbox HD Remastered because it starts out with a funny little clip where it says, "Did you expect me to remove the Nintendo logo?" And it goes, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." I thought that was a really nice touch. And then as the cinematics continues and you get to like the introducing the characters of the game, I like how it shows you the original N64 graphic for the character and then quickly switches over to the HD remastered version of the character. I thought that was a really nice touch as well. It's just, man, it's just a really good intro. And they kept the same music, which, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. GoldenEye had an amazing soundtrack. Pretty much all the music and all the levels were solid. And I'm glad that that's something that they kept and didn't try to tweak or mess around with it, because Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, this is a really interesting time for this to come out also, because at the moment of filming this video, there is currently no James Bond at the moment. Daniel Craig has finally released his last Bond movie, and this is it. And so now we are sitting without a James Bond. I think this is a great time also for this game to come out, because who cares who's portraying Bond? We don't have a Bond right now, so might as well. And on that note, you know what? Release all the other old games like The World's Not Enough, Nightfire, Everything or Nothing. Have all those HD remasters come out, since at the moment we don't have a Bond. And yes, the people behind like the Hitman games, they currently hold the James Bond video game license, and they're currently working on a James Bond game. Who cares? There's no Bond. How are they making a Bond game when there's no Bond? Release all the other games into the wild. Make an HD remaster for all of them. Let us all re-enjoy those moments. But not the Daniel Craig games, because let's be real, most of the Daniel Craig games were pretty trash.
I don't know why you say that. Why do you say...
Sorry. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the new rumored Goldeneye game coming out for the Xbox. I really hope it happens, and I really hope it's this Xbox 360 HD remastered. However, I'm not going to be upset if it's just the N64 version, because at the end of the day, it's still GoldenEye, and that's how I remember playing it. And as long as they have online features, and as long as they also don't mess it up by making it all glitchy and buggy, it is what it is. However, it would be an ultimate surprise if they did even further advanced graphics than the Xbox 360 version and make it more like an actual Xbox One kind of graphics. That'd be cool, but who knows. However, I do think if they were to just stick with the Xbox 360 version of the graphics, then that could hopefully be really easily to port over to the Switch. Because I think it would be really messed up if the Xbox gets an HD remastered, whereas the Nintendo Switch just gets stuck with the old graphics. Like, I think that'd be kind of messed up. So I think it'd be really cool if they can, if this does come out for the Switch, there's no indication of this coming out on the Switch just yet, just for the Xbox. But if it were to come out on both, hopefully both consoles get both the same version of the game, and now one gets the better one, the other one gets the not so good one. So until then, all we can do is wait, and it's been 15 days, and I don't want to wait anymore. Just announce it already, Nintendo or Xbox or whoever, announce it already. Just make us happy and announce it already. We're suffering here. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, leave a thumbs up down below. Leave a comment on what you think of the GoldenEye game coming out for the Xbox and hopefully a Switch as well. Which version you expect to see. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.